Welcome to Tales from a late-night escape into real stories from real people, the kind you only find when the internet is tired, unfiltered, and absolutely done with everyone. This is your place to set down whatever's been on your mind, sink into something softer, and drift off to sleep while the world's strangest everyday problems take centre stage. Tonight, we're diving into 8 true stories pulled from hotel lobbies, restaurant tables, tech support lines, and delivery routes. The places where human behaviour truly loses its grip. You'll hear about a Tinder date that unravelled into a full late-night crisis, a man who pulled a gun because his Parmesan-packets didn't show up, a hotel guest who followed an employee into the bathroom looking for urgent assistance, and someone who believed a wireless monitor should literally run on hopes and dreams. We've got arguments over breadsticks, a surprise snake in a hotel bathroom, customers who think hydration is a threat, and more moments that make you quietly whisper, people really are something else. And along the way we'll pause for a little commentary, not to judge, just to gently shake our heads together in the dark, and maybe laugh quietly at how dramatic life gets over the smallest things. Good evening, traveller, and welcome to Realm and Reason. If you'd like to drift through more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe before you fall asleep. Now, take a deep breath in and let it go. Before we begin, let's put your body to rest. Start by resting your attention at the top of your head. Notice the sensations, not just the image of the body, but the feeling of it. Slowly move down through your body, spending about 5 seconds on each part. With every exhale, let that area soften. Imagine your breath travelling through each place you focus on, releasing tension as it flows. Keep moving downward through your eyebrows, your cheeks, your neck and shoulders, your hands and fingers, down through your legs to the very tips of your toes. And now, release the whole body, let yourself drift and rest. Night has a way of drawing out the quieter sides of human nature, the kinds of moments that only happen under dim lobby lights and half-awake emotions. In hotels especially, the late hours bring in people with tangled stories, unexpected turns, and decisions they only realise the weight of once the world slows down around them. This next story comes from a front desk worker who witnessed a late-night encounter unravel in real time, full of confusion, frustration, and the kind of life lesson that lands harder than anyone expects. Here's what they shared. Your Tinder date has gone wrong. What do you want from me? Around 3 a.m, a couple came to my desk to make a walk-in. The lady seemed to be in her early 40s, wore an airline uniform, and her date in her normal clothes. Nothing too fancy. Obviously, I inquired an ID and C card for checking in, even gave them a discount for airline staff. The lady confused, as if I spoke a foreign language, as if this concept is too bizarre for her. We don't have ID and C card, they said. The lady waved her employee badge at me. Can't we just book a room and you get paid by the airline later? She asked, as if the badge has a magic power. No, that is not how it works. Defeated, they left my hotel. 4 a.m, the lady came back, alone. Her outfit, hair and makeup looked dishevelled. She was upset. Came to me, she cried. He left me, that guy left me. Me. Okay, calm down. Lady, you have to help me. Please, can you call the police? Me. Okay. Did he do something to you? Stole from you? Hit you? Lady. No, he just left me. Me. Then that's not a crime. That is just a bad date. You cannot call police for that. She was stunned by the logic. She calmed down a bit. So in short, she got dumped by her date. She now needed a room to stay for the night. Same thing like earlier. I asked her for ID and C-card. Me. Okay, then go get it. I don't know where I left my car. I'm not from this city. I am scared. Oh, for the love. So the hotel is facing Road A, Road B on right side, and Road C on the left. Can you try to remember which general direction your car might be? I don't know. I am scared. Can you go fetch my car for me? Lady, you don't even know where your car is. How am I, a stranger, supposed to know where to find it? Also, I am not leaving my station. I stood my ground. She went out to get to her car. I looked behind her. The car was literally parked 50 meters to the right from our hotel door, and yet she made it sound like she left it in the middle of a safari. She got her ID and C-card. The quest succeeded. It was a health card, not driving license. For me, that was quite unusual. I asked, "You drove from out of town, but you don't have driving license." I lost it. I have a temporary paper only. What a surprise. Anyway, I went ahead and made the walk-in. The total of everything with tax is 300 and something. Bada bing bada bum. Inserted her battered Visa card in, and the machine said, declined. What a surprise. So your Visa doesn't have enough money? Crocodile tear coming out of her eyes. Tonight, the guy was supposed to pay for me. He promised he would take care of me. That's why I drove to the city. We were supposed to stay at his place, but plans changed, so we had to find a hotel. And now he dumped me. Oh, how many years have you been together? I asked. Oh no, we just met online. You kidding? I looked at her dead in the eyes. So let me get this straight. You drove to an unfamiliar city. You brought with you no money, no working credit card, no driving license, just because you believed the word of a guy you just met online. How confident are you? What if some situations happen to you, like this one you're in right now? And so, for the first time in this 40-yo woman's life, common sense and logic just slammed her like a truck. And for those of you easing deeper into the blankets right now, let's just take a moment to admire the sheer Olympic-level decision-making skills on display here. Because imagine driving to a completely unfamiliar city at 3 a.m. with no money, no working card, no ID, no plan, and full confidence that a man you've never met will handle everything. That's not trust, that's fan fiction. And the meltdown afterwards? Spectacular. The kind of emotional plot twist you only get from a first date that should have been a phone call. My favourite part is her acting like her car vanished into the wilderness. She's trembling, overwhelmed, convinced she parked somewhere between Narnia and the Bermuda Triangle. And the clerk looks outside like, "Ma'am, it is literally 50 feet to your right." Then we get the grand finale, the tragic swipe of the battered Visa card. Declined. Shocker. At that point, the only thing working in her life was the hotel's fluorescent lighting. So, yes, if this story proves anything, it's that romance is dangerous. Common sense is optional. And the front desk is out here doing unpaid emotional labour for decisions that were doomed, back when she first typed, "Hey," into Tinder. And the comment section, the comment section knew exactly what was going on here. The top theory came in immediately. bill it to the airline. Somebody's seen Catch Me If You Can and thinks it's still 1968. Honestly, accurate. That's exactly the level of confidence she was operating with. Then someone else chimed in with the wardrobe analysis. Maybe she bought the airline uniform online. Maybe she's an ex-employee. Either way, everybody agreed on one thing. Nobody drives into a strange city at 3 a.m. still wearing their work costume unless a plan is brewing. And the plan, according to one commenter, was textbook. Feels like she's hoping for a free room so she can sneak the "he left me" guy back in later. A solid theory, honestly. The late-night hotel hustle is a time-honoured tradition. More people started connecting the dots. Yeah, smelling an attempt to scam a room. Especially with those crocodile tears already spotted. The Reddit detectives were working overtime. CSI, front desk edition. And of course there was one rule follower in the crowd insisting, "You should have called the police as she asked." Which got the immediate response, "If someone asks for the police, call the police." Fair enough, but everyone quietly agreed the only real crime here was her decision-making. By the end, the entire thread had basically solved the mystery. A uniform that didn't make sense, tears that deserved an Oscar, a credit card that had seen things. It all pointed to the same conclusion. This wasn't a love story gone wrong. It was a discount request gone feral. Some stories begin quietly, with an ordinary knock on a door, the gentle shuffle of a delivery bag, or the familiar rhythm of a late-night run. But every now and then, a simple moment takes a hard turn into something unexpected. The kind of memory that stays with you long after the job has changed and the miles have passed. This next one comes from a delivery driver who found himself in a situation that escalated far beyond pizza and a tip, all over something small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. Here's what he shared. The time Parmesan nearly got me killed. Hey everyone, I just randomly had this memory pop into my head yesterday and figured it was worth sharing in the vain hope of some sweet internet points. Hope you enjoy it. So, I delivered pizza all through undergrad. Full-time in addition to my full-time course load. I saw a lot of crazy crap. Had a girl answer the door expecting her boyfriend. Nearly got mugged a few times. Had a few guys try to pay me in drugs. You'll know the drill. Fun times. But the one story that always pops up as the craziest was Parmesan guy. PG. So we were short-staffed. I know, imagine that. And so I was taking like 4-6 runs at a time. PG was my last run of that outing, and while I usually had a bag of Parm and pepper packets in my car, the last delivery had cleaned out what I had left. So I walk up, knock on PG's door, he answers, we chat a bit. He signs the receipt and I'm just wrapping up already mentally back in my car. But he stops me and asks if I've got any Parm packets. I apologise and just tell him, sorry man, I just gave away my last few to the last house. PG responds with, well, you need to go back and get me some then. I stifle a laugh and respond with, I'm sorry, but we are super slammed right now. You gotta understand there's no way my manager is going to let me drive back out here just to bring you Parmesan cheese. That is when PG's face goes ice cold as he lifts up his shirt to display a freaking gun, as he says, no, you need to understand that you need to get me some Parmesan packets. in this eerily blank voice. So I did what any self-respecting person would do and agreed that I now did in fact understand and that I'd be back as quickly as possible. The weirdest part, dude seemed to accept that at face value and I just left. So I get back and my manager notices something is off and asks me what's up. Man, Tim was actually legit a great manager. I explain what happened and he's like, oh hell, do you want to call the police or something? Something about that suggestion broke something in me and I wheeled on him and half shouted, what the hell, Tim? Dude threatened me with a gun over some Parmesan-packets. F is he gonna do if I call the police on him? You want me to wake up in the middle of the night to see him standing over my bed like, I still don't got my Parmesan cheese MFer. Anyway, then I took several deep breaths, apologised for yelling at him, and went back out for another round of deliveries, as one does. Listeners, I'm not saying I'd handle that better, but risking it all for Parmesan is a choice. Because there is something uniquely powerful about a person who hears the words, I'm out of Parmesan-packets, and responds by lifting his shirt like he's revealing a family crest. Not anger, not yelling, just the calm, cold conviction of a man who refuses to eat pizza unless it snows dairy dust across the top. And look, everyone has their breaking point. Some people snap over traffic. Some snap over Wi-Fi. But this guy, his entire emotional stability was dangling from a plastic packet full of powdered cheese substitute. The driver, meanwhile, immediately entered survival mode, agreeing with the kind of speed normally reserved for hostage negotiations. And the funniest part, the Parmesan guy just accepted that promise and let him leave, as if this entire situation were a legally binding Parmesan quest bestowed upon a knight. Then back at the store, the manager, bless him, suggests calling the police. And you can practically hear the driver's soul leaving his body, imagining this man appearing at his door in the dead of night whispering, "Where's my cheese?" So yes, if this story reveals anything, it's that the darkest corners of humanity aren't found in crime documentaries. They're found in the moment someone realizes a stranger forgot the Parmesan packets and decides to introduce a firearm into the conversation. And down in the comment section, the delivery veteran showed up like a support group with war stories. The very first response laid out the universal wisdom of the trade. A great manager would add that address to the do not deliver list, which honestly feels like the only appropriate outcome when a man pulls a weapon over powdered cheese. The OP followed up with an insider confession. Apparently there was a no blacklist policy, but everyone quietly ignored it by placing a subtle asterisk on the customer's profile. The delivery world's version of marking a house with chalk like Victorian milkmen. And then someone else chimed in with the obvious solution. Literally blacklist that dude. No nuance, no debate. Just the pure, clean energy of a person who has delivered pizza long enough to stop believing in second chances. Another commenter shared that they once got pinned to a wall over peppers and parmesan. Pinned to a wall. At that point, these aren't condiments. These are emotional flashpoints. And the OP agreed with the kind of sigh only a delivery driver can produce. It's always the ones who definitely didn't put it on their order too, which might be the most hauntingly accurate sentence in the entire thread. So in the end, the community reached a collective conclusion. The Parmesan guy wasn't just a bad customer. He was a legend of the absolutely do not deliver here tier, the final boss of condiment disputes. Some places take on a different personality once the sun goes down. Softer lighting, quieter corners, a slower, gentler rhythm to the space. Hotels especially feel this shift, transforming from bustling daytime hubs into calm nighttime havens where travellers finally settle in and the world outside grows dimmer and more distant. But even in those hours, when the lobby is still and the night air hangs softly outside, there are moments that break the calm in ways only hospitality workers truly understand. This next story comes from a night shift receptionist dealing with the surprisingly complicated concept of locked doors. Here's what they shared. Why do people not get that we lock our hotel doors overnight? All right, bit of a late-night rant from your friendly neighbourhood hotel receptionist. We're a city hotel right in a busy precinct. Lobby's got 2 entrances, which makes us the local public walkway during the day. No dramas, walk through, enjoy the aircon, whatever. But when it gets late or quiet, we lock the outside doors, because, shock horror, we don't actually want drunk randoms or anyone who doesn't belong to us wandering in. You'd think this would be common sense. It's not. We've had it all. People leaving the pub next door, and next thing you know, someone's tripped over the rug, snapped a lamp, or decided our sofa looks like the perfect place for a little power nap. Nothing like checking in a new guest while some bloke in a Hawaiian shirt is snoring in the lobby, drooling on a cushion. Real 5-star vibes. So yeah, we lock the doors overnight. Massive signs saying, "Doors locked for guest and staff safety. Please use your room key to enter." Pretty clear, right? Wrong. Every 15 bloody minutes, there's someone hammering on the glass like a gorilla that's seen a banana inside. Then they glare at us like we're the problem. Mate, the door's locked for a reason. If you're staying with us, use your key card. If you've lost it or you're checking in, we literally have an intercom. Big button. Says, press for reception. Magic. If you're not staying with us, congratulations. You've just discovered legs. It's a 2-minute walk around the block. Off you go, champ. Anyway, that's my nightly therapy session. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk on how not to be a nuisance after 9 p.m. Listeners, can we talk about this for a second? Because of all the things hotel staff have to deal with, the nightly debate over a locked door might be the most unintentionally dramatic one of all. It's amazing. You lock the doors for safety, which feels like the most normal, reasonable, peanut butter and jelly decision on earth. And suddenly there's always one person standing outside like they've caught you committing a felony. And the best part, they always ask that same question. Is this a bad area? Like the clerk has been waiting all night to confess the truth. Ah yes, welcome to the danger zone. Population, you. But the real comedy is how these conversations go. Because as soon as the clerk flips it around and asks, "Well, do you lock your door at night?" you can physically hear the gears grinding in the guest's head. Their entire argument just dissolves right there on the welcome mat. It's like watching someone lose a debate with their own logic. And honestly, that's what makes the whole situation so perfect. Some people show up expecting 24/7 access to everything, except their own common sense. Meanwhile, the staff is just trying to stop a parade of drunk strangers from wandering in and redecorating the lobby with their face. So if you ever find yourself outside a locked hotel door late at night, remember, it's not a conspiracy. It's not a commentary on the neighborhood. It's just the staff doing their best to keep the furniture upright and the police uninvolved. And really, isn't that all any of us want from a Tuesday night? And for those of you listening, if you think the story itself was chaotic, the comment section absolutely took it to another dimension, because nothing unlocks the human mind quite like a conversation about doors. One person tried to explain it with the classic logic boomerang. Why do you lock your door at night? And the guest, who asked the original question, actually got offended, which is incredible. That's like asking why a stove is hot and then getting emotionally wounded when someone suggests you don't stick your hand on it. Then another commenter shows up like they're doing a stand-up routine. If they said they don't lock their doors, well, hey, you've got their address now. Go see where the day takes you. Honestly, that's some chaotic neutral energy I respect. And then we get the, in my country, we don't lock doors crowd, as if this explains anything. Someone from rural Canada pops in with, nobody locks their doors here, it's the neighbourly thing to do. Which is adorable until you remember that half of Canada is wilderness, moose, and people named Trevor who own ATVs. Of course they don't lock their doors. Their biggest threat is the weather. Then immediately after that, someone else jumps in like, nope, I've watched too much true crime for that. And honestly, same. I lock my doors, my windows, my apps, and sometimes my thoughts. Another person goes, I only lock up because my ex is crazy, which is maybe the most honest sentence ever posted online. By the time you finish reading, the whole thread becomes this international symposium on doors, threats, crime rates, hospitality safety standards, and personal neuroses. And it all started because one hotel clerk dared to keep drunk strangers from face-planting into lobby furniture at 2 a.m. So if you ever find yourself wondering why hotel doors lock overnight, don't worry. Reddit has several thousand words explaining it, none of which actually help, but all of which are profoundly entertaining. Some nights at the front desk feel slow and gentle, like the whole building is breathing quietly. Other nights, the energy shifts. People arrive tense. Conversations stretch longer than they should, and something as simple as a policy or a no becomes the spark for a scene you never saw coming. This next story comes from a hotel worker who found themselves facing a pair of guests determined to escalate things, and discovering just how strange late-night frustrations can become. Here's what they shared. How dare I drink water? I remember this story from a few months ago. I was having a back and forth with these two ladies. They were upset and would not take a no, that we did not have this specific service, after about 10, 15 minutes of a back and forth with them. The one older lady started saying how she was going to get me fired, and I wouldn't have a job tomorrow. After her saying it about 2 times, I had had enough, and pretty much went, I apologize, we do not have this service. We have gone back and forth though multiple times, and you have threatened my job. So I will be cancelling your stay. Please go collect your things and check out. The younger lady starts saying, "So you're kicking us out for just asking?" "No, I'm kicking you out for making me repeat myself multiple times and threatening my job." They proceeded to stand at the FD for 15, 20, and in the middle of them not listening, I called the police. 'Cause who are you to not listen to me when I tell you no and leave? Which they respun us with when told the police were coming. "We're good lawful citizens and we'll wait." But a little before that, I was picking up my water and unlatching it, and the younger lady says, "Oh, what are you doing with that?" I raise my eyebrow and continue to open it to drink, and I state such, "Just about to drink." She then yells, "No, no!" It looked like you were about to throw it at her. And yes, I was dumbfounded. People are that dumb. "Lady, there's a camera behind me and I ain't going to jail for you." Well, either way, the police arrived and they left peacefully. But that was one of the craziest experiences I had with a guest that was upset. And for everyone drifting off with their headphones on right now, we need to take a quiet moment to appreciate the absolute theatre we just witnessed. Because imagine being so deep into an argument, so committed to being the hero of your own hotel drama, that the sight of a front desk clerk drinking water becomes a threat. Not yelling, not throwing objects, not even standing up too quickly. Just unscrewing a bottle like a normal human being. And somehow that gets interpreted as, "Oh no, he is about to attack." It's incredible. Some people can turn anything into a personal movie scene if they're desperate enough to stay mad. A locked door, an insult, a policy, a conspiracy, a sip of water, a weapon. Meanwhile, the clerk is just trying to survive the shift without getting fired, arrested, or dragged into whatever imaginative universe these guests were living in. So yes, if tonight's story proves anything, it's that hydration is dangerous, logic is optional, and the front desk is one of the last places on Earth where reality still tries its best and occasionally loses. And if the story wasn't unhinged enough, the comment section absolutely took the hydration theme and sprinted straight into madness. The top reply kicked things off like a Shakespearean insult duel. "Bold of you to think I'd waste my water on you, lady." Immediately followed by, "You are unworthy of my liquids," which, honestly, deserves to be embroidered on a pillow. Then came the variations. "You're undeserving of my fluids." "You lack the qualifications for my moisture." "You are unsuitable for my wetness." At some point, the entire thread became a poetry slam about bodily hydration. Even the OP jumped in with, "I shall not bequeath my watery substances." That's not a comment. That's a legal document from the 1800s. And just when you think the bit has peaked, someone adds, "You are beneath my moisture," which honestly sounds like the final insult a wizard delivers right before turning someone into a cactus. By the end, the thread wasn't discussing customer service anymore. It was a full-blown, high-effort hydration opera. A Greek chorus of people defending the sacred right to sip water in peace. So yes, if you ever wondered how far the internet can take one ridiculous moment, the answer is all the way to an entire anthology of moisture-related insults, Volume 1. Even the quietest nights at a hotel can take unpredictable turns. There are moments when the building feels still and peaceful, when everything slows down and the only sound is the faint hum of distant lights. And then there are the moments that remind you just how quickly that calm can be shattered, often by someone who refuses to let patience guide them. This next story comes from a front desk worker who discovered just how far a determined guest would go to demand attention, even in one of the most private places imaginable. Here's what they shared. "Why are you in my stall? This night I was covering my last daytime shift for a long while. It got to 8 p.m, we had slowed down considerably, and I decided to step away to use the restroom. Apparently the hotel gods won't allow me to empty my bladder in peace because literally 1 minute after entering the bathroom I hear someone bellowing at the front desk like a cat in heat. 'Hello? Hello? I need assistance. Hello?' I'm weighing whether or not I want to hide in my stall until they notice the 'I'll be back in a moment. Here's the hotel number for emergencies' sign, when I hear a few loud bangs come from the lobby. Everything important is locked, and I have the keys, so I'm really not concerned. It's around 4 minutes of my bathroom business transaction when I hear the banging get to my area. 'I know you're there! Hello!' I've decided to stay in the bathroom however long it takes for this person to cease their behaviour. I'm pulling up the non-emergency police number when they make a new discovery. The bathroom isn't locked. Hello? Hello? Why isn't anyone at the desk? That's so unprofessional. What if it were an emergency? Okay, well, I can't really control when I need to use the bathroom, so please return to the desk and I will assist you in a moment. This lady then tries opening the stall door. I'm going to have to ask you to not do that. But I need assistance now. Is someone dying? Excuse me? If nobody's life is in danger, I'm going to give you one last chance to return to the desk before you're removed from the property. There's a pause, and I think she's caught on that this is truly wackadoodle behaviour. Unfortunately, her brain cells were resting at that moment. I don't remember the exact details of events that happened next, but I do know the order. I need Jamal's code. Who the F is Jamal? DoorDash order for wings is slid under the stall door and the fully grown adult woman starts attempting to crawl under to take a photo of it to prove it was left in a safe place. I kick her phone and the wings. She leaves after threatening to sue me for assault. Wings are thrown out. After that, I check our system and there is no Jamal, Jamar, Janelle or anyone of the sort. Everything passes smoothly until about 10 p.m. when I'm shutting down the lobby for night mode, and over comes Jamal from our sister property. He shows me the photo of his wings and says he was told to check with us. I explain the situation with his dasher and that the food had been discarded as it was on the bathroom floor. Jamal then says, "So what am I expected to do now?" At which point I suggest contacting the delivery service for either a refund or a new order. Jamal grumbles a bit about not having wings, then leaves, and that's that. Regardless, why are people so okay with tracking us into the bathroom? To whoever's still awake, that one was something else. Because truly, there are many places life may lead you, but being cornered in a hotel bathroom stall by a stranger demanding Jamal's code and sliding chicken wings under the door is not a scenario most of us ever budget emotional energy for. The logic here was incredible. This woman went from banging on a front desk to storming the staff bathroom to attempting a full tactical crawl under a stall, all in the name of proving that wings were left in a safe place. At that point, the only safe place was away from her. And the OP, bless them, is just trying to finish a peaceful bathroom break, something that apparently requires the same survival skills as dealing with wildlife. But the humanity in it, oh, it's there. Sometimes people get so wrapped up in their own urgency that they forget borders, boundaries, and the basic rule that if someone says, "Please don't open my stall door," that's really where the adventure should end. And maybe that's the quiet joke behind this whole story. No matter the hour, no matter the building, no matter how clearly the sign says, "Back in a moment," someone will always believe their problem is the main character. Perfect for the night shift, perfect for bedtime, and a perfect reminder that, compared to this bathroom encounter, your day went just fine. Let's gently peek at the comment section, because that turned into its own late-night fever dream. The very first reaction came in hot. I would seriously lodge a complaint with DoorDash, which is adorable because the next dozen people immediately showed up to say, essentially, honey, DoorDash isn't doing anything. Apparently the collective wisdom is that DoorDash support is like Bigfoot, rumoured to exist but no verified sightings in the wild. One commenter even said Uber's old number now just politely tells you to use the app in slightly nicer words. Then the thread spiralled into tales from the DoorDash underworld. Someone had a driver send their young child to the door with the food, like it was a medieval messenger delivering a scroll. Another person admitted their Dasher just left a whole $50 order on the front desk and walked away, like a food-related mic drop. And of course, the outrage escalated. People talking about trespassing the Dasher, others genuinely stunned the bathroom invasion wasn't satire. One person imagining confronting the intruder literally mid-pants. These comment section went places. But the sleeper hit. The hotel worker who has to deal with guests insisting the front desk is secretly responsible for every DoorDash order, everywhere, at all times. Someone leaves food unattended, it vanishes, and suddenly it's the clerk's fault for not guarding it like the crown jewels. By the end, the entire thread read like a communal support group for everyone who has ever been held emotionally hostage by someone else's delivery drama. A quiet little village of people whispering, "Yeah, this job is wild," and honestly, it's comforting in a strange way, knowing that somewhere out there at the middle of the night hundreds of strangers collectively agreed, if a Dasher crawls under your bathroom stall, it's definitely not part of the job description. Technology has its own kind of magic to people. Glowing screens, quiet hums, devices that seem to work through thin air. But behind every bit of that magic is something simple, something practical, something grounded in reality. And every so often, someone forgets that even the most advanced gadgets still need a very basic ingredient to function. This next story comes from a tech support worker who found themselves guiding a confused user through one of the most fundamental truths in electronics, and discovering just how far wireless can be misunderstood. Here's what they shared. A user insisted their wireless monitor was broken because it needed a power cord. I work for a company that provides IT support for several small businesses. Yesterday, I got a ticket from a user with the simple description, "Monitor won't turn on." I called them and we started the usual basic troubleshooting. "Can you check if the power button is lit?" I asked. "No, it's completely dark," they replied. "Okay, let's check the power cable. Is it firmly plugged into the back of the monitor and into the wall outlet?" There was a long pause. Then the user said in a tone of utter confusion, "What power cable?" I patiently explained that all monitors need a power cable to function. The user then hit me with a line I will never forget. "But it's a wireless monitor. That's the whole reason I requested it. I don't want any cables." I had to take a deep breath. "Sir," I said, "the wireless capability refers to the video signal, which can be received wirelessly from a compatible computer. It does not mean the monitor itself runs on magic. It still needs electricity to power the screen, the wireless receiver, and the backlight." He was genuinely indignant. "Well, that's false advertising. What's the point of it being wireless if I still have to plug it into the wall? I might as well have a cable for the video too." I spent another 10 minutes explaining the fundamental difference between data transmission and power delivery. In the end, I had to dispatch a field technician to simply plug a power cord into the wall. The tech reported that the user watched the entire process with a skeptical look, as if we were performing some kind of dark ritual. Sometimes I wonder how we ever transitioned from the abacus to the microchip. You know, anyone relaxing out there tonight might still be replaying what we just heard and quietly wondering how we've survived as a species this long. Because this story is pure, distilled tech support energy. The kind where someone hears the words wireless monitor and immediately decides electricity is optional, as if the monitor will simply believe in itself hard enough to power on. There's something almost poetic about the confidence. This user wasn't confused, they were indignant, as though the very idea of plugging something into a wall was an insult to their personal vision of the future. And the poor tech on the other end is trying to explain gently, kindly, that wireless doesn't mean runs on good vibes and sunlight. Meanwhile, the user is arguing like they've uncovered a scandal worthy of congressional hearings. Then to fix it, a field tech is dispatched, walks in, plugs the monitor into an outlet, and witnesses the exact moment the user realizes electricity is, in fact, still a thing. It's a perfect little reminder that no matter how advanced our technology gets, someone out there will always believe a screen should function like a decorative plant. No cables, no power, just vibes. And honestly, it's hard not to admire that level of commitment to magical thinking. If you're resting comfortably right now, you may want to brace yourself, because the comment section turned into a full anthology of technological confusion. It started with someone remembering the early days of Wi-Fi, when people legitimately believed it worked like oxygen, just floating freely in the air, no router required. Folks were cancelling their internet service because their laptop had Wi-Fi, and they assumed that meant the universe provided the rest for free. A beautiful, innocent time. Then others chimed in with pandemic flashbacks. The wave of people who discovered with great surprise that working from home still required the internet. Apparently more than a few thought their computer would just know what to do. Another commenter shared the absolute classic. Someone bought a brand new modem, returned furious the next day, and when asked what computer they owned, responded with, What computer? All I need to go on the internet is a modem. A modem. Alone. Just sitting there. Manifesting websites through sheer ambition. And then came one of my favourite arguments, the grammar battle. A heroic commenter declared, "It's wireless, not wire-free. It means fewer wires, not no wires." Immediately met with someone insisting their device better be wire-free because they paid for it, and another person yelling fewer, like a substitute teacher who finally snapped. From there, the thread drifted into nostalgia. People remembering bosses poking flat panel monitors like they were touch screens, customers believing stainless steel could be hacked, and legends of workers whose confidence far exceeded their understanding of reality. And the quiet theme underneath it all? Human beings will always try to bend technology toward whatever version of reality feels easiest for them, even if that reality is completely wrong. So if your monitor worked today, if your Wi-Fi connected, if you didn't attempt to plug a modem directly into the concept of the internet, you're already ahead of the curve. Restaurants carry a special kind of nighttime energy, the gentle clink of silverware, the warm lighting, and the quiet negotiations that happen between couples, families, and friends. Some conversations drift softly through the room, barely noticeable, until one of them becomes unexpectedly intense over something wonderfully small. This next story comes from a server who witnessed a debate so earnest, so serious, that it was almost poetic, all centered around a single breadstick. Here's what they shared. A couple argued for 10 minutes over who had the moral right to the last breadstick. I brought a basket of 4 breadsticks to a table of 2. They ate 3, and 1 remained. For the next 10 minutes, I overheard an intense, quiet debate. "You had the biggest salad, but you drove us here. You got the last one at Olive Garden last week." They were dead serious. I finally went over and asked if they'd like another basket. They looked at me like I'd offered them a peace treaty and gratefully accepted. Some battles just aren't worth fighting. And honestly, nothing proves the fragile state of humanity more than the comment section on this story. You'd think people would read about a couple arguing over one breadstick and go, "Wow, that's silly." But no. The internet saw this and said, "Ah, yes. Finally, a topic worthy of deep mathematical analysis." We had people drafting negotiations like it was the Treaty of Versailles. We had someone calculating the breadstick to salad ratio, like carbs and leafy greens are now part of the periodic table. Another person brought up the previous Olive Garden incident, because apparently breadstick equity must be measured across multiple, historically documented dining events. And then it got philosophical. Someone insisted you have to factor in meals from the last 6 weeks. 6 weeks? That's not dinner, that's tax season. And the best part? The one commenter who finally just cracked and said what every server in the universe thinks. "Do you guys just want another basket?" Absolute hero. That is the verbal equivalent of handing a toddler a juice box. And I swear, nothing tells you more about life than this comment thread. Try dividing anything evenly in a house with siblings. Forget it. But Dad, PTSD flashbacks activated. One person even pulled out the classic sibling solution. One cuts, the other chooses. A system so perfect it's basically the Supreme Court of snacks. So if you ever think your life is too dramatic, too messy, too ridiculous, just remember, somewhere out there, a group of strangers spent an entire afternoon debating the moral and mathematical ethics of a single breadstick. And honestly, that feels right. Some places carry a different kind of quiet at night. Warm air drifting in from outside, the hush of distant wildlife, and the soft glow of a lobby that never fully sleeps. Hotels in tropical places especially hold their own stories, shaped by nature, heat, and the unpredictable paths of the travellers who pass through. This next story comes from a front desk worker looking back on a job filled with surprises, including one late-night moment that took an unexpected turn from alarming to strangely meaningful. Here's what they shared. There's a what in your bathroom? I didn't even know this sub was a thing until today. I used to work front desk at a small hotel in southern Thailand years ago. Wild job. I was young, didn't care much about anything. Ended up meeting my wife there, actually. One night this couple checked in late. You could tell they'd been fighting all day. I gave them their key, smiled, moved on. Maybe 20 minutes later the phone rang and it's the woman, whispering that there's a snake in their bathroom. There's a what in your bathroom? I didn't even know this sub was a thing until today. I used to work front desk at a small hotel in southern Thailand years ago. Wild job. I was young, didn't care much about anything. Ended up meeting my wife there, actually. One night this couple checked in late. You could tell they'd been fighting all day. I gave them their key, smiled, moved on. Maybe 20 minutes later the phone rang and it's the woman, whispering that there's a snake in their bathroom. So I go with the night guard to check it out. Sure enough, small green snake wrapped round the towel rack. The guy starts yelling that we put it there to get them to pay for an upgrade or something. Total meltdown. The guard just walked in, scooped it up with a broom, and took it outside. 2 minutes. Done. The woman kept apologizing. The guy wouldn't stop complaining about standards and American service. They left the next morning without checking out. 2 days later, she came back alone. Booked a few nights, said she just needed quiet. I gave her a discount and a room far from the jungle. We still joke about that snake sometimes. She says it probably saved her life. Anyone sinking into the calm of the night right now might still be processing the quiet chaos we just walked through. Because this story really captures that special magic of hotel life. The moment when a guest calls the front desk in a whisper, as if reporting a supernatural event, only for it to turn out to be a tiny green snake just vibing on the towel rack. A snake, mind you, that the night guard handled with the calm resignation of a man who has already seen much, much worse in that building. But the real plot twist wasn't the snake. It was the relationship dynamic that slithered out right after. 2 people who had clearly been fighting for hours suddenly unite, not against nature, but against the hotel, convinced the staff planted a reptile as part of some elaborate upsell scheme. Imagine being so committed to an argument that you accuse housekeeping of running a wildlife-based extortion ring. And then, beautifully, the woman returns days later, alone, seeking peace, quiet, and a room far away from both the jungle and her meltdown partner. Sometimes the snake isn't the problem. Sometimes the snake is just the sign you've been ignoring. It's a gentle reminder that in the grand ecosystem of late-night hotel stories, the wildlife is rarely the strangest creature in the room. The comments took this story to a whole different universe. Because apparently the real plot twist wasn't the snake. It was commenters from Australia casually revealing that if this had happened there, the staff would have given the snake a name, a room key, and possibly its own loyalty number. Just a whole country going, "Yeah, mate, that's Trevor. He lives here now." Then someone swore this was basically the plot of a Hallmark movie, except the romantic lead isn't the hotel receptionist. It's the tiny green snake, and honestly, I'd watch it. Love Unexpected, A Serpent's Journey, streaming this fall.